This video is made for adult collectors because he's got lasers. Actually, he doesn't actually have any lasers. It's just stupid. So I'm glad Laser Prime is getting a repack in Legacy Uni Wave 1 because I was on a spending break at the time he hit shelves here, so I never got one, and I want one. I did get Scourge though, and I really do like the mold, but this isn't the first time we've gotten a Laser Prime mold in Generations. In Transformers 2010, they released this, Reveal the Shield Laser Prime. And this thing is a stylized take on the original Laser Prime / G2 Prime design with some movie stuff thrown in, and it's very good, but who did it better? 2022 or 2010? I have two versions of the Laser Prime mold here from 2010. The regular release, missing the sword because I got it used, and this awesome blue one that's like, it has a massive problem that I will mention later, and it makes me so sad. So this Laser Prime is slightly more slim and rounded in his limbs with some awesome details on the shoulder stacks. The way it shows the clear orange from inside the shoulder is very cool, though it does require a very intense and direct light source to activate it. The Combat Hero one does the orange thing a bit better, but not by much, though I absolutely love the colors on the Combat Hero one. It stands out more and doesn't have that gray on it that I don't like. The blue one also has a sword because I got it brand new, whereas the original one I got didn't come with a sword because I got it for 10 bucks, so I'm not complaining. But the sword is cool. The one on the original is orange, which apparently is supposed to reference the movie Prime's sword because his sword is always orange. Next to the new mold, yes, he is smaller, but the proportions I think are a lot better on the older toy. The new one, while I like it a lot, its legs and arms seem out of place, and the old one just doesn't have that problem. It has other problems, starting with the hands stressing due to the sword not fitting in it properly. He has to hold it at an angle a bit in order for it to stay, which is frustrating, and I'll demonstrate that more in a little bit. The plastic on the parts that hold the arms in place in alt mode is also apparently known to break, which is annoying, and there are certain parts of the articulation that just don't work. So of course the posing is going to be the same on this guy and the Combat Hero one, so I'm just going to be talking about this dude. Flip your wrist around, thank you. So he does some stuff that the new one doesn't do, and the new one does some stuff this doesn't do, because especially the shoulders, they're very different. This one has the rotating shoulder pads, which people wanted on this guy. This guy has the stationary ones due to the way he transforms. However, both of them cause issues for each other. So like the Legacy Laser Prime mold, the arms only go up that far unless you like move this out of the way, that you can get them to go a little higher. But they are limited a little bit because of this and the like weird shoulder design. It's just a strange shoulder. But this one has the rotating shoulder, so they're free from all that supposedly. But when you rotate them, this tab on this side especially likes to bump into this a lot, so you got to move it around. Thankfully it's on a separate joint, but it does clash with a lot of things, and it causes silver paint chips. This side especially, you can't see that, there we go, silver paint chips are caused because of that. And also the arms only go out that far to the side. That's as far as they go because of all this sculpted stuff. Whereas on this guy, they left this big empty cut here so the arm can go out all the way, and they gave you this so the arms can go forward, but then this doesn't go anywhere. So it doesn't benefit either of them. I think a combination of both would have been helpful on either of these two toys. But yeah, that's about it. Also the head is on a ball joint, and this doesn't tab in at all, so it comes apart a lot. You have a bicep rotation, 90 or just under 90 degree bend at the elbow. There's a ball joint at the wrist, so the wrist can swivel, and it can hinge up and down. I wish it could go down a little bit more. That's as far as it goes, but it can go up quite a bit, and that's for sword poses, which the reason he can't hold his sword properly and that it's reported to break the hands is because the hands aren't fully 5mm. Here's a 5mm weapon. Put it that way so that the peg doesn't get in the way. It's such a tight grip. I don't know if you can hear that. There we go. It's such a tight grip because the hands are ever so slightly... Oh, there's a stress mark forming. I don't know how well you can see that, but there's a stress mark right at the base of the thumb there. So the hands do break when you put stuff in them because they're just shy of 5mm. I would honestly say sand them down a little bit. The sword is good because it's a flat handle, so you can put it in at a slight angle and it will sit in without stressing the hand. but then it's like curved and it looks weird. Now he does have a waist joint, though it is blocked, so that's about as far as you get out of it unless you extend the torso. Then you get more, but then you compress it and you get this gap. Kind of annoying. Hips can go forward that far, they can go back that far, they can go out about that far. You have a thigh rotation. Now the wheels do get in the way of the knee bend, so that's all you get. You don't get any further than that unless you take the wheels and sort of just like finagle them away. And then you get a little bit more, but you still don't get a full 90. And then the feet can go forward all the way, back all the way, and you have ankle tilt and foot rotation. So his feet are very posable and they're very large. So he's very stable. I haven't had this guy fall over in almost any pose except for the one where he was on one leg, because he was only on one leg. But he's pretty posable even in comparison to this dude. This dude, they have very similar posing things, except his shoulders have a tiny bit more to do because they can go out further. And his waist joint actually works, but he doesn't have forward and backward tilts at the feet. So like it's a trade-off between which one you want articulation-wise. But this one's not bad, especially for the time. Because what else were we getting at this time? Friggin' 2010 movie toys with very limited articulation because their engineering was so complex. Like, you know, it's pretty good for one that when it came out. And then this deco just makes it so much better. So robot-wise, I don't know which one I like more. The new or the old, it both have their flaws and their strengths. Maybe the truck mode will help me decide. So, the big issue with this guy that I talked about earlier was I cannot transform him. So, the problem is, when you get this guy in truck mode, which I'll show you with this version of the mold, this section back here, these hip sections here, the arms, and the sword all get in the way of each other on this copy, and the truck does not stay in place. It's like if you, here, I have this KO of MP10. It's like this. The truck does that and doesn't sit flush because of how this whole thing works. And I think something is busted, which is why I'm skeptical to turn it into a truck. So we are going to turn this man into a truck instead, although I will be using his sword because I don't have the sword for this one, like I said. So the sword just sort of folds up like that and you kind of just leave it there for now. The rest of this dude, it's very interesting. It is very traditional, like Laser Prime. It kind of just works how you would expect, but there are some bits in there that are neat, and it look a bit at the legs that's kind of tedious, and that's the wheels. I'm not the biggest fan of this solution, but it works. It's just getting all these flipped out and stuff. It's just a step that's not enjoyable. It's not difficult. It doesn't hurt anything on the toy. It's just annoying. Also, these are cut off. I don't know, the previous owner did that, and I don't know why, but they've always been like that. They're not like that on this copy. They're normal on this copy. It's the previous owner did something to this, and I don't know why they did that, but you know, whatever. It was $10, I don't care. So once you get all that sort of situated, you take the sword and you peg it into there and there. It'll fit into the slit in his butt, in his crack. There we go. That's the sentence I just said. Peg in, you idiot. There we go. And that's how you get that in. Now, the sword is not essential to pegging the toy in, so if you get it without the sword, that's fine. But the sword does help because the tabs on the feet are really dookie. But once you get that done, you pull this up. And I want to point out real quick that if I can get this whole thing closed, I don't know how well you can see it in there, but he has a matrix molded into his chest, which I think is very cool. That's something that the wiki pointed out that I didn't know was there until I was doing my research on the toy. But you pull this up, fold these window sections out, fold the head around. It's so warm in here because my lights are on that the rub sign is just always on. Then you fold the arms around and up like that, around and up like that. Compress the front, snap it in, close up the doors, and just get them pegged in like that. Then you take these arm cover sections, open them, wait for the camera to focus, fold them down, and they will peg into place and go around the arms. And for some reason, this arm does not want to stay lined up. This takes a lot of like squeezing and finagling to do, and that's where the toy does break under pressure, according to some reports, so you got to be careful with it. But there you have Laser Prime in truck mode.
It's not the most stable truck in the world. As you can see, you can literally just start bending bits of it, whereas this guy, which I'll transform later, does actually stay in place. But it's a nice looking truck. That's a pretty interesting transformation. It's not traditional, that's for sure.
So just because he won't stay in place, I'm just going to show you the blue one in truck mode here. It looks cool, but the majority of him doesn't work, so I'm going to just show the red one. That is a sick truck mode. Love the flames and the red to black transition on the hood. The bread. Why did I say bread? The break to blue on the cab, though, feels a bit abrupt, but it helps the robot mode more. And then the back end carries that black over from the front, and the sword as a hitch, I think, is a very nice use of weapon storage. The new truck, though, is longer in comparison, but I also really like how sharp the lines are over the old one. The old one is a little bit rounder because it is based on an actual real life truck, so it looks more fitting to the rest of the 2010 stuff and a lot of movie stuff. But the new one's truck mode, I think, just looks a little bit more angular, and I like it. So which do I prefer more, though? I don't know. I think mold and deco combos as Prime, I prefer the old one, but as Scourge, I prefer the new one. It just takes the cake for me. Both are really nice to own, though, especially in that blue. Damn, I really wish that truck mode could stay together. But should you get one of the older ones? I mean, if you like diving into older toys like me, then yes, but I wouldn't pay more than 30 bucks for it, I'd say. Anything more than I'd advise getting it sealed. And try to get the sword. The sword is always nice to have, even if it does stretch his hands out a bit. But that's my look at Reveal the Shield Laser Prime. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.